So Mount Qilai, or Qilai Mountain, stands at over 11,834 feet, really tall, not necessarily something you would think of when you come to Taiwan.
So this should be a good warm-up hike for us.
Warm up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're Helen and Tim, full-time adventure travelers with the goal to see the world one mountain at a time. On our next adventure, we head to eastern Taiwan where we visit Taroko National Park. We hike the 15th tallest peak in Taiwan called Qilai Mountain. It stands at over 11,834 feet tall.
So today we're at the Kaohsiung main station. We're catching a train up to Taichung, and then we're going to rent a car and drive out into the mountains for our hike tomorrow. We're heading to Taroko National Park. I think the train ride's like an hour and a half, and then the drive is going to be about the same, an hour and a half to 2 hours. This is our first real hike up in the mountains, so we're really excited to get up above 10,000 feet. So we've arrived in the Taiwan high-speed rail station here in Qinging, and it's a really nice station. It's very large. There's lots of food vendors, so we went around. We got some mochi donuts. Oh, we picked up the bentos, and those were 100 Taiwan dollars each. They're really good. We love to eat them whenever we're on the go. It's a good mixture of veggies and kind of meat. It's really good. Oh, you have such a variety of options whenever you're in the train stations in Taiwan. Endless opportunities.
So we made it onto the high-speed rail. It's going to take about an hour and a half to make it to our destination in Taichung, where we're going to pick up our rental car. Tim's going to be driving in Taiwan for the first time, so that will be interesting.
Yes, it will.
How do you feel about that?
I think we'll be all right since we're pretty much on the edge of town where the high-speed rail station is. So we'll be leaving from there. So I won't have to drive through the downtown city, thank goodness. And then we'll just go right out of town into the mountains. So hopefully it won't be too bad. And that's why it's only taking us 45 minutes, not an hour and a half like we thought originally, so.
Taiwan's public transportation system is quite impressive, whether you choose to take the bus or the mass rapid transit, which is also called the MRT, or the train system within each of the major cities, Taipei or Kaohsiung. And also the high-speed rail is very fast. You can essentially go from the northern to the southern end of the island in about an hour and a half.
We made it to Taichung, now we gotta go find the car rental.
And a pro tip, we always take a video of our rental car from the exterior to the interior to the speedometer, as well as the gas gauge, to protect ourselves from any extra charges and damages from the rental car company when we return the vehicle.
Now the real adventure begins.
Tim's doing a great job navigating the roads. So before we left the United States, we actually went to AAA and we got our international driver's license. So we each got one. Though Tim drives mostly internationally when we travel, it's always good to get something like that if you're thinking about renting a car or even a moped. It's relatively cheap to get the permit. I think it costed around $30 USD. So just something to remember if you are traveling either long-term. There is an expiration date on this. I believe it's only valid for 1 year. So at some point when we head back to Portland next year to renew my passport, then we'll have to get another international driver's license.
Plants, you got some vegetables, you got your G-Wagon that Helen loves.
Apparently that's my dream car.
Like, hey, did we go back to Europe?
I feel like we keep going back to Europe.
We love Europe. We love Europe, and this is amazing. This European style glockenspiel, clock tower, hotel, the old England.
Is that a hotel?
It is.
Kind of hard to see it from here.
You could.
That's insane. So the cool thing about renting a car instead of going on a bus is you can make little stops like this. So we saw this hotel right off the road and it's very European inspired, and we're just very curious on what was here, so we decided to make a stop.
It took over 9 years to build this hotel. The family who owns it, the Low family, had no experience in building architecture of this kind, and since it has won some awards in terms of luxury hotels around the world. And there's also a tea time. No reservation is needed, and it costs around 350 to 500 NT. We didn't have time to actually experience this, but I'm sure it is a great time if you decide to make the stop.
It's very narrow.
Pretty adventured out today.
For our Qilai Mountain hike, we stayed in the town of Qingjing, located at 5,741 feet. It's a beautiful little mountaintop town located in the Renine Township.
Why, hello. I'm gonna give you a tour of our place here. We just checked into a bed and breakfast here on the outskirts of Taroko National Park. We'll be hiking tomorrow, but today we're gonna enjoy the serene and beautiful mountains of our B&B. So come on in. There's a cute little sitting area, but my favorite part, so I must give Tim props for finding this place. In Taiwan, Tim has been doing all the booking, so essentially it's been a surprise for me. So as you can see, my favorite part of the B&B is this beautiful sitting area. It's essentially a Japanese style, almost, I mean, it seems like a Japanese style seating area. So it's a great place for dinner. Maybe make a cup of ramen and stare out at the grand view of the mountains. We also have a TV, but of course we're not going to be watching much of it. I also love this fireplace. It's actually a fake fireplace. There's heat that actually comes out from the bottom. We got a lovely, looks like a queen size bed, right? Moving on. Of course, you got your standard amenities. You cannot drink the water from the sinks in Taiwan, especially in your hotel room or even at home. So they always provide bottled water. Amenities, you get coffee. We have a kettle to make, tea and coffee in the morning. Breakfast is included in our B&B, but you have a nice sink. Pretty much every hotel we've stayed in has a bidet. This one is heated, which I'm super excited about. This one looks super high tech. And then you just have a standard shower tub. This is actually the second tub shower we have seen, which is really weird. It's like they put a tub within the shower. You even get the mountain breeze by opening these windows. So we are in search of dinner as well as a 7-Eleven to buy lunch for tomorrow.
Yep.
Because obviously we can't make mountain meals or have any type of stove while we're in Taiwan because we didn't bring one.
Well, and there's some restaurants around here that look pretty decent.
What'd you get?
A matcha green tea ice cream.
Looks yummy.
And it looks like some kind of a wafer.
So it looks like we found some dessert before dinner. They sprinkle some matcha powder. It looks very tasty. Just wondering how much caffeine is in it because I need to sleep tonight because we have an early morning tomorrow on our hike.
We were just looking at the menu because we kind of wanted to see what a Taiwanese, fast food burger chain looks like. And they have these like quinoa rice patty burgers with like bulgogi meat, which is a Korean sauce, like shredded beef maybe. And then they also have like maybe like an orange chicken, it looks like. Interesting.
What did you get?
I got a pork udon. Pretty good.
What's it taste like?
It's an interesting flavor to it. It's like an Asian.
Is it salty?
Slightly salty, not overly oily.
So we are staying in the town of Qingjing, and the mountain town is obviously very picturesque. The reason why there's this kind of European influence is because it is actually a sheep herding or a sheep raising town. There are a lot of sheep milk products here, so it's very interesting to kind of see what all these little mountain towns offer here in Taiwan.
Well, unfortunately, we can't see it because there's too much fog or pollution right now, but we're heading to the Mount Qilai Peaks tomorrow, so this is where we'll be hiking, somewhere along here.
So we just did a food haul at 7-Eleven. In Taiwan, 7-Elevens are prevalent. They're everywhere, and you can buy really cheap snacks and lunch. We're going to show you what we got for $13.50 USD or around 400 NT. 8 of us. We got a beer for Tim.
Yep.
Black tea. This is one of my favorite black teas, and it's like 15 NT. Got a whole variety of breads. We got a pork, shredded pork, and seaweed bread. Milk filling bun. It's like this hard milk custard. It's super delicious. Gotta stay healthy with the bananas. Taro sandwich. There's 2 pieces in here. Teriyaki chicken.
Teriyaki chicken.
Grilled pork. I love the dried tofu. It's just very zesty. Hits the spot every time. Can't forget dessert. Got Nutella biscuits.
Last but not least,
Haribos.
cola.
Mountain Summit snack.
This is our second time in Taroko National Park. Our first visit was 2017, and Taroko National Park is one of the 9 national parks in Taiwan.
It's like a 1-lane road. Definitely glad Tim is driving, and there's like a huge drop off. It's kind of hard to see since I have a little reflection and fog in my mirror. Viewpoint up here. Oh wow, that's pretty.
Let's just take this one on.
Yeah, on the end. You're so cute. Pretty feathers.
So we made it to the trailhead.
It's about 6:40 a.m.
That was quite the windy road up here. There's basically a 1-lane road along the mountain ridge, and there's little pull-offs and everything. There was a guardrail, but definitely without the fog, there'd be some stunning views.
Yeah, we were kind of disappointed not to see the sights, but hopefully it burns off when we go down the mountain later. So Qilai San, which is San is mountain in Chinese. And what do you want to say about it?
Supposed to be 9.5 or 10 miles long with 5,000 gain. There's going to be some steep parts to it. We did go out and get a pair of cheap trekking poles to help us out, but
Thank you, Decathlon.
the trailhead starts just on the backside of the Songshu Ski Lodge, and so that's where we're heading right now. We're just kind of walking past the lodge.
It's actually up above this.
Yeah, it's all fogged in.
We wanted to actually originally stay there, right? But they were full.
Yeah, they were full. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had to rent a car. We could have taken a bus here because there is a bus stop right up here where we parked. But the lodge was full, so we needed to get a car to get here early in the morning for the start of the hike.
So our hotel was about 40 minutes away.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad 40 minutes.
Oh, it's a pretty nice like wake up drive.
Keep in mind, a permit is required to hike Qilai Mountain, so make sure you plan in advance so you can secure a multi-day permit, especially if you want to sleep in the cabins. We'll definitely drop the links in the description below.
The official start of the hike.
Mount Qilai is the 15th tallest peak in Taiwan. It's also listed on the 100 Peaks of Taiwan, chosen by a group of prominent Taiwanese hikers. And pretty much all of those peaks on that list are over 10,000 feet tall or 3,000 meters. And a not so fun fact, Mount Qilai is actually known as the Black Qilai due to its high frequency of accidents and deaths occurring on the mountain.
One of the things I enjoy the most is seeing all the different the different foliage, especially the bamboo forest that we've come across. And also on this trail, seems like there's some pines. So the contrast of the high alpine pines and the bamboo just makes you feel like you're really far away from Taiwan.
So it looks like we have, I don't know, maybe a half a mile left until we get to the first lodge. And that looks to be the lowest point of the trail. And then from there on, it is just like straight up elevation gain because we've been pretty much going down ever since we started.
It's very cool because you can see the fog rising up from the valley and it's just kind of swirling and making these really cool patterns. Check it out. Looks like somebody is getting married in the background. It's very cool for an early morning elopement. It's so windy. So we just passed 2 hikers and they pretty much stayed out here for 2 nights at both of the lodges and they tried to summit, but they said unfortunately it was too windy.
If it stays right around here, we'll be all right. But you know, we're kind of used to it in the Pacific Northwest with windy alpine conditions. So hopefully it won't stop us.
Well, you know, Mother Nature, you never know what she plans for you.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot of up in a short distance.
Yay.
It's gonna be a challenge. So we made it to our first lodge. We are, oh, that's a great question, 3.7 kilometers in on the trail so far. We have about 1.1 kilometers to our next lodge on the way. So Qilai North Peak is somewhere up there in the fog.
We're about to start the big uphill, and as you can see, there's some rope guiding us along the way. I'm sure we'll have plenty of those while we climb up this mountain. Mount Qilai is a very well-marked trail with cell phone reception along the way. However, in the mountains of Taiwan, especially in permitted areas in the high alpine, you are required to carry a GPS or a satellite communication device.
Chengong Cabin number 1.
Maybe
Got a couple bathrooms, pit toilets. The cabin's up this way, so. So as you can see here, there's a water collection point at the Chengong Cabin, and I would still use a filter. We don't know this spring or what kind of water this is, so always use a filter, but you've got drinking water here. This may be the last place on the trail. We're not sure. We may pass one more cabin on the way to the North Peak, so we'll report back if we find any more, but the Chengong Cabin has clean water.
another team to come down. This is fun.
Careful, because that rope does come out quite a bit, so use that rock too. Said hold on to the rock.
Well, my camera got stuck.
Oh. I grabbed these ropes, and now I use both ropes.
Hi.
How's it going so far?
It's pretty tough.
It is tough. It's definitely, this is a difficult trail.
I would say my spirits are kind of low right now. I mean, it's not bad. I was telling Tim it felt like a jungle gym since there are all these ropes and scrambling that we're doing. But
ropes and ladders, right?
it's certainly like I'm having knee issues, so it's kind of a lot of varying terrain. But we've seen a lot of people come down from the summit. Nobody's made it today because of the wind and the fog, so crossing our fingers. So it looks like we made it above tree line. Kind of see more of an alpine environment with the shale rock and less foliage, so we'll see. The wind seems to be holding quite steady, so we're hoping that we get some luck.
Just stopped for a brief rest. Wanted to do an elevation check. We're at 10,600 feet. The peak is up at 11,800, so what, 500 feet or so, 600 feet left to go. So it's we're in a it's a slog, and we're in a cloud, so we're hoping by the time we get to the peak that we'll be above the fog. So that's what we're hoping. Let's check it out. Oh, I think we see the peak. I think we see the peak. It's right there. Oh, and there goes the fog coming in. Well, that just means that there can be breaks in the fog. Let's hope they become more consistent by the time we get up there. Tell them how much fun you're having.
Not having fun.
I'm so proud of her though.
It's getting windier.
This is fun, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, it's fun. Woohoo! Well, we're not quite at the top yet. It's pretty windy. Woo, baby.
not looking promising with any views.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it. It's like blowing at least what, like 30 knots of wind? It's probably blowing 30 knots of wind right now.
All right, we got to figure out what we're gonna do here. We're getting bits and pieces, little glimpses down into the valley, and it is beautiful.
Wow.
So Mount Qilai is the peak directly behind us. Unfortunately, the winds are really high up there right now. We can just hear them howling as they wrap around it. and it's also kind of socked in. It does kind of peek in and out every now and then, but we just don't think it's worth going and checking out.
Worth it of safety reasons as well.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you just got to call it. You got to continually assess conditions.
And go with your gut. And my gut is saying that I'm hungry and I just want to chill and maybe look at the beauty of the mountain while we're sitting here eating lunch.
Enjoy the valley view that we do have, and call it a day and work our way back down. It cleared up.
So the trail continues up towards the peak. It gets pretty steep up here as we follow the trail. There are some ladders in here. I don't think we'll be able to pick up on them, but there's some ladders that you'd have to climb. Obviously some boulders, some rock fall that you'd have to be concerned about. So carrying a climbing helmet would definitely be a good thing for this last kind of pitch up into up to the summit. 30 minutes up, 45 minutes up probably to the summit.
Got my Haribo. Eat a few and I'm out. Let's go.
Also, this place that we just had lunch is at 11,400 feet of elevation, and the peak of Qilai Mountain is 11,800 feet. So we're about 400 feet shy. We're wearing these black diamond climbing gloves because there's ropes and cables and ladders on this route. And the nice thing is when you're going downhill, because they're leather gloves, you can run the rope and help have a controlled descent at a fairly reasonable speed.
Qilai Mountain is located in the outskirts of Taroko National Park, and it's located on the eastern part of Taiwan, and it faces the Pacific Ocean on the east, and it covers an area of more than 920 square kilometers. In the northern section is where Mount Qilai sits, is the central mountain region.
So just to my right, your left, it is Qilai main peak. So a lot of people do a multi-day trip where they hit up the main peak, stay at the lodge or the cabins, and then they'll hit up the North Peak on a multi-day trip. We're actually going to be just kind of walking past the cabin and then breaking back down and then ascending. But you can see the peak is actually a lot less steep as well as shorter than the North Peak that we just saw earlier. Almost feels like you're in Italy or something.
Yeah, it does have a Dolomites kind of feel with the cliff edge there.
Yeah, we're pretty tired. The downhill, it was a beating, and now we got quite a bit of uphill left to get back to the parking lot. So we're running on last fumes right now.
A lot of down climbing, coming down.
Yeah, using the ropes.
A lot of scrambling.
Yep. A lot of roots, a lot of rocks. Definitely difficult overall.
I would say I'd rate this trail about like a 7 out of 10.
It was beautiful,
Yeah.
like up top, just stunning views was the best part of it. Getting there sucked.
Coming down was honestly my least favorite part. Going
Yeah.
up wasn't as bad,
I mean, it was bad,
but as bad.
but it wasn't as bad as coming back down it. Yeah, definitely. But overall, you know, the weather cleared up. We got some great views, so.
We're definitely the only day hikers. Everybody does it in 2 to 3 days.
If you get the permits, so you have to apply for those permits to stay overnight in the cabins.
I think at that point we couldn't apply
Yeah.
for them anymore because we were within like a 2.5, 3 week window and they already closed the permits. So it's fine, you know. We like to suffer, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
Hike 2 fun.
This is a good warm-up hike for our next one, right?
Yep.
We're back.
That was so hard. I'm crying because I'm just so exhausted and
Aww.
happy to be back.
It was a long
Such
day.
a long day.
It was like 10 hours of moving.
From like 2 valleys. I can't believe we did it. I'm so proud of us, but
Yeah.
I'm freaking tired right now.
And was it not a good thing now that we think about it that there was fog this morning? Because if we would have seen the mountain from the beginning,
We would have bailed.
Yeah, I
We
would have bailed way
so
earlier.
quickly.
let me
All
see
right.
if I can. All right, so from the trailhead start, the mountain that we hiked to, Qilai North Peak, is that one right there. Went out here, down around there, all the way on the backside of that one, all the way up there. The summary of the stats from today's hike. We were hiking for 10 hours in duration. We did 4,300 feet of elevation, and it was 9 miles total.
Felt way longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It was a lot harder than that. Yeah, the stats don't tell the whole truth, right?
After a long 10-hour day on the trail, we made our 45-minute drive back to the town of Qingjing, and we spent the next morning just relaxing and soaking in the last bit of our bed and breakfast views. And we took the train back to Kaohsiung, and we just had a fantastic adventure. Join us on our next Taiwan adventure as we head to Xiaoliuqiu Island. We jump on a moped, we check out the beautiful coastal sights, and we swim with the sea turtles.
Thanks for joining along our adventure. We'll see you on the next show. Make sure to like the video. If you enjoyed what you see, drop a comment. We love you all. Bye.
Bye.